Okay, we're good.
Okay. Well, it is such a delight to be with you here tonight and to talk about entrepreneurship and 10 secrets to getting a business started. It's always nice to have a little extra cash in our pockets. More than anything else, there is amazing opportunity now to start a business and be able to provide some autonomy, to be able to step out of working 8 to 5, to be able to do the things that really matter and the things that are of importance to you. So I've got a couple of slides here, and I'll be talking through those and then kick it back, and we'll kind of do a little discussion here amongst ourselves, and then we'll get back to slides. So bear with me as I switch back and forth. Just a couple of stats for you. So did you know that 54% of millennials either want to start a business or already have started one, according to the Kauffman Foundation? Now, millennials are your generation and my generation. And that's pretty impressive. That means a lot of us are very entrepreneurial minded, or we think outside the box. It's really never been easier to start a business than today. We have websites like Kickstarter, which fund initiatives. You can get other people to crowdsource your idea and crowdfund it. Great things have been done through websites like this. And honestly, disruption is live everywhere you turn. There's people thinking outside the box, changing the way they go about life. And yeah, I used to think all the great ideas were already taken, but every day, every year, there's brand new crazy ideas that hit the shelf that absolutely change the world in which we live. Let's just talk about a couple here on the screen. So within the hotel industry, you've got Airbnb, where you can basically rent somebody's couch from somebody if you want, or rent a bedroom, or rent an entire house. My brother's getting married in a few months, and we're going to rent an executive condo for my family for a couple days, and it's amazing. It's like awesome. Within the taxi world, you've got Uber and the Uber app, which helps people get around for a fraction of the price, basically taking advantage of taxis and limos that are just sitting vacant. Within music, Spotify, news, Twitter, storage, Dropbox, payments, WePay. Nobody actually carries cash anymore. Nobody writes checks anymore. Within learning, Khan Academy. Within college, College Plus, of course. I had to put them in there. So, as you can see, there's always change happening. Change is the world in which we live, and it's never been easier to start a business considering some of these options that people now have available to them. Anybody can build a website through WordPress. Anybody can get logos for their company on 99 Designs for a couple $100. You can have 99 different options to look at. You've got MailChimp, where you can send out emails and keep track of all your users and lists. You've got LinkedIn, you can connect with people, hire people. GoDaddy, you can buy a domain. LegalZoom, you can find contracts. You don't have to create all this stuff. You don't have to have an attorney on your staff to start something. You can find a contract or a proposal template. So you can see that there's just lots and lots of options that are available to us to start businesses. And these online options are often extremely economical, if not free, which makes it all better for entrepreneurs because typically we think outside the box and we love cheap things. Anyway, to start a business, anybody could start a lawn mowing business. Now, you might need to be a little bit older than this guy, but not too much. Anybody could start a computer programming business. Anybody could start a landscape business. Landscapers make more money than do lawn mowers because more of a specialized trade, but people that are into mowing grass can easily switch over to landscaping. You've got interior design, car detailing, and cupcake making, one of my favorites. I love to taste test. So the point here is that it is never been easier to start a business than today, and no matter what kind of business you might be thinking, I've given a couple of simple kind of anybody could do this examples here on the screen, where you don't have to have a degree, you don't have to have certifications, you don't have to have fancy things behind you. These are little businesses that you could do on the side to help pay for your next CPE3 and or your next mission trip and or your next Fishes Live trip with Aubrey, or whatever you call that, Aubrey. It's not Fishes Live, is that what it is?
Fishes Occupy.
Vicious Occupy. I knew I had it wrong. Okay, so
It's
there
okay.
you go. Just need a little extra cash. These things could get you there. Now, when I was growing up, I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that was my big life dream. And I always thought, man, like I say, all the big businesses have gone, the great ideas have been taken. But I came across these stats, and it gave me some hope. 60% of companies have 1 to 4 employees. 60% of American companies, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. 98% of companies have less than 100 employees. So what that said to me was, now you don't have to be a big IBM or GM or GE or Hewlett Packard or whatever. You have one of these billion-dollar enterprises to do something. Most of the businesses across America are small businesses. 60% are 1 to 4 employees. So that means opportunity exists to go start things and launch businesses. We're going to talk about 2 things throughout the presentation here, innovation and marketing. And Peter Drucker is known to be the father of entrepreneurialism. He is the guy that kind of came up with it, packaged it, wrote lots and lots of books about it. He's recognized as the world's leading expert in entrepreneurship. Innovation and marketing. Does anybody know what this little device is on the left-hand side? Some of you older people on the call may recognize this.
Cassette tape.
Sony, exactly, cassette tape, a Sony Walkman. Well, back in the 80s, this was the device to have. You see, when everybody else was pumping their music through their large speaker systems in their living rooms, this allowed kids, teens, to pack music in their pocket and go listen to whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, and furthermore, they could customize their music to what they wanted to listen to. They could custom record a tape for their own listening pleasure. Well, Sony owned the market. They were the industry leaders. They innovated, they marketed well, and they had the corner on the market. However, they got a little lazy in their thinking, and they were quickly replaced by this device. Does anybody know what this is? This would be an iPod Nano. Or what is that actually? Is it an iPod Nano? I think so. Anyway, it's an Apple device, and now we have music on our phones. We have music, on our iPads, iPods. Music goes with us everywhere. Now, thousands and thousands and thousands of songs we can take with us, and furthermore, the battery life is amazingly better, and nobody even listens to cassette tapes anymore. So guess what? Sony is not the first name you would think of when you think of music. You would probably think of, or music listening devices, you'd probably think of something like Apple. And the reason Sony fell off their pedestal from the 80s when they used to own the market is that they quit innovating and they quit marketing effectively. And they were quickly replaced by Apple and all of their innovations. So strategic innovation is the ability to reinvent the basis for competition within existing industries and to invent entirely new industries altogether. That is strategic innovation, and that's what we want to be about. And typically College Plus students think outside of the box. They work outside of the box. They don't color within the lines. And they are more apt to be able to start businesses and go do things because they think more creatively. And so you are perfectly set up to be a part of this strategic innovation and start a business that really goes and does something. Let's just talk about a couple examples of innovators. Now, this guy on the screen you may recognize. Does anybody know who this is? You must recognize the green goddess symbol behind him.
He's the founder of Starbucks.
He is the founder of Starbucks. The man's name is Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz visited Italy and was impressed by the way the Italians hung out together at little bistros. Coffee shops, pastry shops. They hung out and they lived much of their life at these places. And Howard Schultz, coming up through the 70s and 80s here in America, realized that the bar scene, which was predominant for business people to be at a bar after work or whatever, that was quickly becoming less acceptable, and that Americans would need new ways to socialize and collaborate with one another. And so he pitched his idea to over 200 investment venture capitalists. And on the 201st one, he got his first person to bite that invested in Starbucks. And I tell this story because this is a guy that stuck with his ideas. Everybody else, 200 people, told him he was a nut, told him he was absolutely out of his mind. And today, I think each one of us would like to have owned Starbucks or owned Starbucks. Here's another example. This is Philip Knight, the founder of Nike Company, I should say. So Philip, back in the 70s, came up with the idea of the let's see here, the leather tennis shoe. I was about to say Reebok tennis shoe. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, he came up with the idea of the Nike tennis shoe. And at the time, Nike tennis shoes, which were leather all the way around, were a breakthrough because before that, people wore Converse shoes, which were basically cloth. And, a lot of the basketball people in the movies and whatever you might see now, they're wearing these cloth shoes around. So anyway, Nike owned the market. He was the dude. But other companies like Reebok and, let's see, New Balance and Adidas, and the list goes on, also decided they could create shoes, and they could have their shoes produced in China and Indonesia and Malaysia for even better prices than Nike. And so Philip Knight suggested to his team that they must innovate and go past the shoe. And so they came up with the apparel line, the whole clothing outlet, where you can buy shoes, socks, hat, shirt, shorts, everything that they coordinate. They all have the same insignia. They all, color coordinate, et cetera, et cetera. And so, not too long after, Adidas, Reebok, Nike, New Balance, and all the other guys quickly came along and said, well, we can do the same thing. So they all developed their own apparel line. So Philip Knight had to innovate once more, and he innovated to the just do it phraseology, which became popular and made famous by people like Michael Jordan and other famous athletes that peddled the brand. But even still, other companies came along and started to copy some of those ideas. And so Philip Knight has now come into the software industry where he's developing applications for phones, things like wristbands, the previous to the most recent generation of Apple technologies or whatever, or these wristbands that Nike developed, where you could track your fitness program and you could get motivational phrases from expert athletes that said things like keep going and work harder and you're awesome and all those kind of things. So you see a story of innovation happening here. Bill Gates, one of the most famous entrepreneurs of our time, certainly one of the most wealthy. Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook. Back in Zuckerberg's time, there was also, it's not back in his time, he's still here. Back in the time when he launched Facebook, there was this thing called MySpace. And MySpace was the deal. Everybody was on MySpace. But within just a couple of years of Facebook launching, they completely own the market, and MySpace is no more. You don't even hear of it. They're a default company. And the reason for that is Zuckerberg paid more attention to his customers. He listened to what people wanted, and he observed, and he heard, and he said, okay, so how do we develop something that people actually will use? Versus MySpace got very complacent and situated with what they were already existing. So a couple more slides, and then we'll take a break here. 2 keys to strategic innovation. Be just ahead of the curve. Be first to initiate a trend. When they think of the best, you want them to think of you. And let's talk about first and best. So the first university was Harvard. The first rental car company was Hertz. First software company was Coca-Cola. These are all companies that are world-renowned brands that are highly recognized by people as being great companies, and they were the first to innovate within their industry. Okay, so the first thing is be just ahead of the curve, be first to initiate a trend. So be just ahead of the curve. In other words, looking ahead to see what are people going to be needing. What is our world looking for? By the way, are you still seeing my slides? Yeah, I think you're. Okay. And then the second is get in a game with infinite upside. Find a trend where there's real potential. Now, this sounds like, yeah, of course you're going to do that. Why would you get in a game with no upside, like get in a game with no opportunity to grow? Well, of course. Well, let me explain what I mean. I don't know how many of you listen to or watch Shark Tank, but frequently the panel on Shark Tank, this is a television series, there's entrepreneurs that I should say invest. They investigate, review, and end up putting money into companies. Often the panel on Shark Tank, they review businesses and they're looking for opportunities, like is this an opportunity that has potential? And I know that several businesses on typically each episode are turned down because it's too easy for another entrepreneur to come in and steal space. It's too easy to duplicate the model. What they're doing is not necessarily that unique. And so back to get in a game with infinite upside, you're going to find a trend where there's real potential and find a space where you can kind of carve out something of a niche. And I'm talking a little bit further down the pipeline maybe than where some of you want to be. Some of you are just looking for some part-time money-making opportunities to provide over the summer, extra money to get to CPE3 and all those. And a couple of the ideas we talked about earlier fit perfectly with that. Anybody can start those kind of businesses. But if you're really serious about entrepreneurship and making this a long-term thing, these are some traits that will help you be more successful here that we see on the screen. So let's just take a second for any Q&A, any thoughts. What stands out to you? And what do you either like or what scares you from what we just talked about? Oh, come on, guys. I know you're not always this quiet. Do we need to talk about Aubrey's hair?
At what point do you start, like, as far as the grass cutting or the interior design, when can you just do that as kind of a side job, and when do you actually need to license it and register it with the government and all that?
That is a good question. It depends on your risk tolerance. Typically, if a business brings in over $500 a year, you should be recognized as a legitimate enterprise with a business tax ID. And at that point, you're going to be paying taxes and filing with the state and et cetera, et cetera. But even that process, if there's online tools that make that a lot easier, even tools like TurboTax, which you can use to simplify your job, and it really kind of makes it self-explanatory. In fact, for some advice for you, I would recommend going to a website, Micro Trends for Teens, micro business, micro entrepreneurship for teens. Let me look it up real quick. Excuse me just a second. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. Micro business for teens. That's what it is. Go to microbusiness for teens, and you'll find resources on that kind of topic, walking you through what's needed, when it's needed. And Carol Top, another homeschool mom friend, is very good about teaching those kind of ideas. Good question. Anybody else? Okay, let's keep blasting then. All right, so back to my PowerPoint. Here you go. Voila. Okay, Shark Tank, we talked about that. Entrepreneurial makings, the makings of an entrepreneur. Here, there was a study done of 549 company founders, and here's what they found. The average median age of founders when they started was 40 years old. Now, that gave me a lot of hope because I thought that all the entrepreneurs were, people like Mark Zuckerberg or whatever else that were eating beans and rice and pizzas and sleeping underneath his desk, etc. And by the time I turned 22 or 23, I kind of thought I was behind the power curve and my opportunity was lost. Now, there's certainly advantages in starting businesses when you're young, but just to give you a little bit of time to realize, hey, there is some space here, the average age was 40. 95% had earned their bachelor's degrees. There you go, College Plus people. And 47% have more advanced degrees. Less than 1% came from extremely rich or extremely poor backgrounds. 75% had worked as employees at other companies for more than 6 years before launching their own companies. 70% were married. 60% had at least one child. Majority of entrepreneurs were serial entrepreneurs. Average number of businesses launched was 2.3 businesses. Okay, definition of an entrepreneur. A person who organizes and operates a business or businesses taking on financial risk to do so. That's Webster's Dictionary. Here's another one from Wikipedia. A person who has possession of a new enterprise, venture, or idea and is accountable for the inherent risk and the outcome. And finally, it is the act that endows resources with a new capacity to create wealth. Peter Drucker. Okay. So the first two, do you notice one word in common with both of those two first ideas? One word overlap.
Something new.
Creating something new, okay. Both use the word risk. Entrepreneurship is risky. If it wasn't so risky, everyone would be doing it. So this is not for the faint of heart necessarily, but if you follow some basic ideas, some of the things we'll be talking about here, if you're willing to sleep under your desk as somebody just popped up there and eat beans and rice, and or live with your parents while you're starting your business, which is totally acceptable at your age or ours, then that significantly lowers the risk and makes it a lot more palatable. Okay, this is me as a little boy. I was the guy on the right, and as a little kid, I always wanted to start a business. That was just my big life dream. I thought, man, if I could own my own company and business. Oh, by the way, this picture's back in like 1986, so please don't judge my family or my mom's hair or dad's. All right. So first started into a landscape business and figured out that I made way more money doing this than I did cutting people's yards because less people did it. So whether it was putting in a pond for somebody or tree trimming, bush trimming, etc., started into that. Then figured out that window washing was a lot less work and I made just about the same money. And you know what? There was very little overhead in window washing. In fact, all you needed is a squeegee and some paper towel or whatever. So very simple to get off and running with. But I always dreamed of building a business, like a real legitimate business. So I met two guys, Ryan Yamani and Brad Vuller, and we started College Plus. It was in this very garage that you see that the little company College Plus was formed. And that was back 11 years ago. And in 2006, this was our team. This was the entire team of on-site people that worked in our little garage. If you can believe it, this is South Texas. It's very hot. This garage door faced the south, which means that during hot summer days, that's the that thing really baked. And we in this little office had a little window air conditioner. I had to turn the thing off every time an incoming phone call came in, and then crank it back on immediately as we hung up the phone. And I'm not going to get into all the other little stories about this place, but boy, we just sure did have a lot of fun being crammed in this little spot. Okay, well, obviously things have grown over the past years. We now have over 100 employees, and we worked with over 10,000 students, and we've moved past our garage. In fact, if you can, come visit us in San Antonio. We'd love to introduce you to our new office space. And we can take you around and show you still little post-it notes that are scattered about from our cabinet last year at CPE3. We hid these little post-it notes everywhere, behind pictures, in bathrooms, underneath chairs. They're everywhere. So if you come down here, you can go on the lookout for little post-it notes. Okay, so the College Plus story started with Brad's book back in 2001. Brad innovated on the idea of college, wrote this book. 2004, we started College Plus. We brought in coaches immediately. 2005, we introduced life purpose planning. 2006, we got endorsed by a number of Christian leaders. 2008, we created our own learning network. This is now called Trail Marker. It's significantly updated and improved. 2009, started Prep. 2010, national media exposure, partnered with Thomas Edison, Bryan College. 2011, created our own courses, including the signature leadership courses, which, Zach, it sounds like you just finished up. 2012, partnered with Liberty, launched CP 2.0. And 2013, partnered with Concordia, Liberty, and Bellhaven. oh, sorry, Concordia, Moody, and Bellhaven, and then started our first community activities. So our first SLC3 event was formed there. And I need to update the PowerPoint because I ran out of space here. But we've obviously done a few things since 2013. In 2014 and 2015, we've not been just sitting around. Okay, so that's just a little bit about the makings of an entrepreneur, and I did a little rabbit trail there to go into the history of College Plus. I've got 10 things I want to just rattle through that if you're looking to start a business would help you in a significant way. These are things that either I've learned the hard way or other people have invested in me, mentors have guided us, and have helped us avoid some of these things. All right, number one, find a need. If there's not a need, no one will buy. Understand the market. Who are they? What are their purchasing habits? How big is the market? How will an economic downturn impact the business? And what is your USP? And USP stands for unique selling proposition. What makes you special? Now, I'm telling you, you don't have to have all these things, but oftentimes writing a business plan, which is typically a 30 or 40 page document. You can find templates in Microsoft Word or Google Docs or whatever else. But taking the time to write a business plan is really helpful if you really want to start something significant. Because a business plan forces you to think through and process a lot of these questions that you see on the screen. You don't have to do this, but if you're serious about it, you will take the time. And it will take you a good week to 2 weeks at least of thought process and working it through. But whatever investment you put in there, you'll save yourself a hassle on the end. So there's a plug for a business plan. So find a need. Find something that people will buy. Now, a quick story here about the Segway, which you see on the right side of the screen. When Segways were created and innovated back in around the 2004-2005 timeframe, the investors and founders predicted that Segway would be to the car with the horse and buggy. Segway would be to the world what the horse and buggy was to the what the car was to the horse and buggy. Basically, that Segways would be used by everybody as the primary mode of transportation, and that it would end up replacing cars. And the first year of business, they projected they would sell over 300,000 units. Well, in reality, and so let me finish the story. So they built out these factories and hired all these salespeople and built this enormous infrastructure to be able to crank out 300,000 units in their first year. But over the past 10 years, they've only sold like 48,000 units total. So these guys got seriously in over their heads. They did not understand the market, and they didn't do the research. And unfortunately, nobody bought their, 48,000 compared to 300,000 in the first year is a very big mistype on the calculator. That was a big boo-boo. So anyway, the company was sold at a great loss, and somebody else picked them up for pennies on the dollar, all because they didn't do their research to figure out what the market wanted. Okay, you pick two, quality, speed, or price. You know, like you go into Panera, you can only pick two of the items here. It is very difficult to pick three. We have tried at various times to compete here at College Plus based on all three of these elements, and each time we've tried, we've failed. That does not work very well. So to be a quality program and to also do price and speed is nearly impossible. So we decided when we started to be about speed and price. That was our primary thing. Like, how fast can we get these stupid degrees done and get it behind us? And then how cheap can we make it for our students? And what we've done over the past years as the evolution of college degrees has come along, and as there are new options for students that weren't around back in 2004 when we started College Plus, we've had to iterate and focus more on the quality. And so we've brought in things like the SLC courses that Zachary just finished. And Zach, I can tell you, I know that thing costs a little bit more than the CLEP exam. It's, what is it, $700 or whatever it is for the courses. But we believe that those kind of experiences provide something truly unique for our students. And so while we, increase the price, not necessarily out of any other goal other than just being able to bring in more quality components to the students. So quality, speed, price. It's difficult to compete on all three, and ultimately, at the end of the day, if you compete based on quality, you'll be positioning yourself in an area where it's harder for people to compete. Because if you're racing to compete on speed and price, and if those are the two things that you build your entire business off of, other people will duplicate your model, and the race to the zero will happen. So quality is always one of those big things. Now, number two, second point, prototype and pilot before you launch. Prove the model. So when we first rolled out College Plus in 2004, we rolled out a Cadillac. This thing had OnStar. It had all the options you could think of. Had complete electric windows. It had navigation. It had backwards camera. It had the whole shebang. Chrome wheels, the whole kit and caboodle. And we rolled it out for the initial price was $6,000 is what we started with the College Plus being back in 2004. Now, nobody trusted us. Nobody believed us that we could actually do what we were saying that we could do. And we ended up turning right around because nobody bought in the first 6 months, like 0 sales. And we rolled out a Chevette model. Now, most of us are not even familiar with Chevettes now, but these cars back in the 80s were like the cheapest of the cheap. And so think of this thing like you practically got to push it down the road to make it to work. There's absolutely no electric windows in this thing. It's all manual. And so we rolled out a $995 College Plus program that we got huge bites on. In fact, in their first 6 months after rolling that out, we had over 60 sales, I think, which was really big for us as we were just starting our little company. So test things. See if it's scalable. Experimentation with minimal investment. There's a number of books that I could recommend to you. One is called Lean Startup. And it's become a Bible around here as far as what's the minimum viable product that you can launch with to get something out the door and actually to the market. Because it's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's what the market thinks of your product that really matters. It doesn't matter how cool you think it is. It matters if people actually buy it. So there you go. That's point number 2. Point 3 is expand in related services. It is 5 times more expensive to find a new customer than selling more to an existing customer. Basically, by the time you win somebody's trust and they believe in you, it's easier to sell them other services. For instance, when we started our lawn mowing business, we figured out that we could also offer tree trimming and tree and shrub trimming, and that people would say, "Man, yeah, that Woody guy and his brother Ben, they do good work. Yeah, well, why don't you go ahead and cut our bushes? That's fine." And then snow removal or window washing. I mean, we could sell all of this stuff to the same customer that we'd already earned a relationship with just through mowing their grass. This is where you get more what you call wallet share or upsells. Okay, number 4, seek accountability and counsel with a board of directors. If you're looking to grow a significant enterprise, then you need to recognize that there's probably people that have expertise and wisdom more than yourselves. People with gray hairs that have been around and done things. And so when we first started College Plus back in 2004, we went out and searched for 3 men that could sit on our board of directors that would actually tell us what to do. And when I say board of directors, this is not like they just give us advice and we decide whether we want to follow their advice. No, these people can actually fire us if we don't do our jobs right. And that's what we put them in place to do. And we did that because we knew that we were young at 25 when we started College Plus, all 3 of us, and that we needed that extra perspective, and we leaned on these guys for their expertise. So we had Michael Clark, who was a well-respected wealth manager here in San Antonio, Rush Cohn, who had been an HR attorney for a large Fortune 100 company here in the area, Alan Patty, who ran sales and marketing for Oracle and Sun Microsystems, very successful sales and marketing guy. Each one of these guys were different in their expertise, but they all brought incredible wisdom to us in College Plus. Okay, number 5, understand financials. Learn how to read financial documents. Now, this is one of the worst for me because this is not my area of expertise. This is more Ryan's thing, but I have had to learn this because these are important documents and it will save you from getting into trouble. So the first one is a break-even analysis. This is basically how many units do you have to sell before you break even on what you're doing. So for instance, if you have a lawnmower business and you're going to spend $200 to go buy a lawnmower from Home Depot, and you're going to spend $20 each time you mow on gas, and you make $40 for each mowing, then you actually your cost of goods is $20, and you net, or sorry, your gross profit is, well, yeah, you net an extra $20. So if you invest $200 to buy a lawnmower, you've got to sell 10 people before you break even just on your lawnmower that you purchased. And that's what's called a cost break-even analysis. So there's lots of little tutorials on how to find out more about how to create one of these, but Google Docs is has templates that you can use. If you want to plunk in the information, it'll basically spit out the number for you. Okay, the next one is a balance sheet. This is incoming, outgoing. Where are your expenses, your assets versus your liabilities? Are you making more money than you're losing? That's the idea. So that's what that is. Profit and loss, income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flows. These are all documents that our team uses repeatedly as we manage our cash flows with College Plus. Tim Peters, our controller, he's an expert on this stuff, and man, we sure enjoy and appreciate his expertise. You might find somebody that just gets into this kind of stuff. For instance, that Carol Topp that I mentioned earlier with the micro business for teens, she does CPA work for little businesses, and she would love to assist you at a very minimal charge to handle all this kind of stuff and make sure that you're actually making money and coach you through your project. There's nothing worse than losing money while you're working really hard. My first bid I did for a person on the window washing. I bid it out this house that had over 35 windows in it. It was a cottage. It was like 3 stories, and it was a lot of windows. Well, we bidded it out, and I thought I was going to make pretty good money, but then I figured out that when a house has a storm windows on the outside of the windows, there's actually double the amount of glass, and it cost us a fortune to get this place done because we spent weeks trying to work on it. Okay, work off a plan, have a business plan, have a budget, have cash flow projections. With College Plus, we do most of our revenue in June through August months, and so that means like the rest of the year is a little bit more lean for us. I mean, we still have sales, but it's not the primary time that people enroll in our program. So we have to make our big money in June through August, and we have to be careful about how we spend it. We can't just all spend it when we make it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to pay our taxes, and we wouldn't be able to pay our team members, and we'd have to, cut things back throughout our lean season. So that's what a cash flow projection is. Number 7, I've just got a couple more of these, and then we'll take Q&A and talk about your businesses. So stick with me for another couple minutes here. Number 7 is marketing sales strategy. How will you market your product or service? One way you can do that is offering items of value for free ebooks, webinars. We do a lot of that with College Plus and pick up a lot of people that just love what we do. They love our company because we offer them great content, or we try to. You can rent email lists to send out your idea. You can find targeted email lists to promote almost everything. And I should have on here, I don't know what I'm thinking, but I should have on here Facebook marketing. It's awesome. We do it all the time, and it really works. I mean, it's where people live is on Facebook. You can target geographic areas, ages, genders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Targeted mailings is actually on the increase. Not many people get people don't get as much mail as they used to, so when people actually do get mail, it stands out in the noise of electronic marketing that goes on today. Sell simple products that get people connected to your brand, and then sell them on the bigger ones. So we launched this product, College Prep, back in 2009, I guess about 6 years ago. And it is a simplified version of College Plus. It's really light. A lot of people start with that, and like 40% of the people that start with the prep program end up enrolling in our bachelor's program. So, for I think it's now about $1,000. Somebody can do prep for a semester, and they'll earn 3 or 12 credits. And it's kind of a simple way to get started. And we prove our trust. People, they say, man, this is awesome. I want to continue this. And they will upsell to our master's program. They're basically paying you to experience your product, which is a great scenario. There's nothing better than to have a customer paying you money to have you market to them. And that's what that is. Okay, here's a book. If you don't think you're a salesperson, Dan Pink writes this book, To Sell is Human, basically saying that everyone was created to sell. And salesmanship is a big part of running your own business. You have to be a good salesperson. I'm going to skip this for time. What people want: simplify their lives, take away their fears. If you can do either one of these two things, or preferably both of those things, people will pay you lots of money, because that's what they're trying to do. They want their lives to be simpler. That's why people go to mechanics for repairs on their car. Anybody could fix their own car. And you can get the tools at Auto Parts, and you could even YouTube how to fix a part. I mean, there's like YouTubes for everything that you can possibly imagine. But we still take our cars to mechanic shops because it simplifies our lives and it takes away our fears. I mean, there's nothing worse than thinking that your cars are going to blow up because you put it together the wrong way or something, you know? Okay, number 8, build your team. Find a lawyer, CPA, and a banker. I mentioned Carol Topp earlier as a CPA, a lawyer, somebody that you can just consult with, maybe somebody in your church that you could ask questions to, and a banker. If you're needing cash flow help, a banker is a good person to know. As you're building a significant business, those are your 3 main people that you really need to tag onto. And I'm getting really close. Choose the right name is number 9, and check trademarking ahead of time. Buy the .com. Short, easy to spell and remember. Unique, just one meaning. Build a moat around your business by purchasing all available domains in the related space. If you're having an online business, the URL that you choose is very important. And finding out if they're trademarks, people that are already using a name before you just buy up and start your business is helpful. So you want to kind of do some quick searches to see if something is trademarked. And I just Google, check trademarking, and you'll get Google options to be able to search that up. When we first started College Plus, we started collegeplus.org. And for us to buy collegeplus.com right now would cost us over $100,000, if you can believe that. And we really wish we had the .com. It would make our business a little easier. People tend to like .coms. They tend to think that they're the most reputable amongst all the other ones. .tv, .me, .co, all these other ones. The .com is still the industry standard for being the best. What was I going to say? Oh, I know, on Shark Tank, the guys actually turn down businesses if they're hard to say or hard to remember. And they're like, hey, that's just too hard to remember. I'm out. And these investors are like, that just doesn't make sense for me. Okay, last but not least, number 10. Here we go. Number 10. Manage your time. Question. What one thing in your business or professional life would bring quantum leap results? You have to constantly be vigilant about focusing on the things that really matter, because if you're an entrepreneur, there's a gazillion things that you could do, but not everything is important. So there you go. Let's look and see if there's a summary list. Find a need, pilot before launch, expand in related services, seek accountability and counsel, understand financials, work off a plan, sales and marketing strategy, build your team, identify the right name, manage your time. Okay. We're going to end this part of it. Tell me what you think. Questions, thoughts, observations. Sorry for monologuing. Other people would call it pontificating.
Do you think the book with that, who was it? I believe, I don't remember who you said wrote it, but the distance learning book that you wrote when you started College Plus, do you think that kind of gave away a lot of your trade secrets now?
Oh, accelerated distance learning. No, we still talk about free things like that. I mean, we're still trying to inspire people to get started. And honestly, the world of higher education has changed so much that book is not a book we actually still sell. It's obsolete. The information in it really isn't relevant like it was then. The world of higher education has rapidly changed. And now what we sell people is people that get started with it, they typically come to us and say, hey, I know that I can do this on my own, but you guys have it all figured out, and you've done this by the 10,000 number level, and we can say things like, hey, do you know if you start with us, basically your college is free because we have these strategic partnerships with Liberty and Thomas Edison, whatever else, where you get these tuition discounts, significantly offsets the cost. Plus, if whenever Thomas Edison changes their major requirements, like they just did a couple of weeks ago, and it causes major havoc throughout our a normal student's system, we can say, but we're going to take care of you, do all the research, make sure it's all taken care of. And in our case, we were able to get Thomas Edison to grandfather all of our students in under their old provision, which is a gigantic benefit to all those people that are in the College Plus program. But that was probably a longer answer than what you were looking for.
Quick question. Sort of unrelated, though. Thomas Edison students that are enrolled in the actual Thomas Edison College are already grandfathered in with.
That's right.
Okay, thank goodness.
And
I'm working on my capstone right now, and so if that was me off again, I was probably gonna turn off the computer and go cry in a corner. So.
Well, let me tell you this: if somebody is in College Plus already enrolled, and we've already done a degree plan, they're all grandfathered in as well, which is really nice. And so those are the little things that we can offer students that I'm telling you, all these other people on Instacert or wherever else, you're going to hear an explosion of frustration from them in the next few weeks because Thomas Edison just significantly changed their degree requirements, and it's making life very difficult. And I'm just grateful that we were able to, through the relationship they have with Thomas Edison, be able to solve that. So I'm giving you guys a little bit of behind the scenes here, and if you could kind of keep this to ourselves, you'll hear some communication from your coaches about your templates and whatever else. But basically, you're in great stead as a result of being a College Plus student.
Yeah, I had a question. If you want to start a business, how do you do that when you, like you said, you mentioned you had a Cadillac version and then you went down to the Chevette version. How do you manage to still be able to maintain an income while offering something that's cheaper but may not be enough to support you or family?
You have to balance between volume and actual revenues. And in our case, we were able to say, hey, if we can sell 10 times as many Chevettes and make a lot less money on them, then we'll still be able to keep our business open. And so it's really a volume question. Can you create the kind of volume that you need to be able to offset the reduction in your cost? And at various times throughout our history, we've done everything possible to try to keep the cost as low as possible. We've offered promotions and discounts and different things. And we've done that as looking at the volume that we'll end up picking up and saying, with volume, we can make up for it.
Thanks.
So let me ask you this. Can we talk about a couple of examples of businesses that you're considering and just kind of work through your own stories and hear what you're thinking about? So maybe, Zach, we could start with you.
Well, I'm not necessarily looking to start a business. I just kind of came because a lot of this stuff seems to apply to my writing endeavors, so we can skip me if you want and go to somebody else.
Okay. Well, let's take you. So you want to be a writer. You're going to self-publish, or are you going to publish through a publisher? What do you think? Or you're a blogger? Or how do you plan to make money?
Well, publishing books is one of the options. I'm thinking something else along the lines of marketing, content management, things like that as well.
Okay. All right. I totally follow you. So you're going to be working for another business, either on a contract level or an employee level, and solving their marketing needs.
Preferably, yeah.
Got it. I like it. You should talk to us at College Plus. We're always looking for people. And we have a crazy marketing team. Just ask Aubrey. We keep buying her one-way tickets down here, and she keeps finding a way to get home. Okay, let's go on then. So I don't know if Tori, you're there. Can you hear us? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a business that you're thinking about?
I have been thinking about once I turn 18, because you legally have to be 18 in the industry that I'm looking at, that I was thinking about starting a taekwondo school.
Wow. All right. Remind me not to get involved with you in the dark alley then. Okay, so taekwondo. You're going to need to do some research to figure out if there are other taekwondo or what are some of the other ones? There's Krav Maga.
Krav
There's
Maga's awesome.
yeah. There's other options out there. So, are you in a space or in a particular geographic area where people will be looking for this? Have you already kind of done any research on that?
Oklahoma, I know that there are quite a few martial arts schools. There's not a lot of taekwondo or Krav Maga,
Okay.
but it's not a very large. I believe it is somewhat saturated.
Okay. If I could encourage you in a marketing strategy, it would be to invite some famous Krav Maga. No, what am I saying? Hey, you got me confused. Invite some famous. What is it again?
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. Invite some person to an event and have them do a presentation or a demonstration. Maybe a church, a school, and get people hyped and excited about your idea.
Okay.
So host an event.
Okay.
Can I kind of say something on the topic?
Yes, please. That's exactly, yeah.
My sensei actually an Aikido school, which is a branch of martial arts, and it's not something that's very well known at all in South Texas. And three of the biggest things that have helped him were, number one, like what he just said, getting instructors into the region to do seminars on it. It's expensive, but it's worth it, because a lot of times if you have some guru from Japan or South Korea come over, they're going to have been doing it for a lot longer than you will, and so they're going to be able to show things and teach things in a manner that's a lot more effective. Second thing that our dojo does that's really keeps us close-knit with the community is we're not afraid to branch out, and even though we're a jiu-jitsu and an Aikido school, we take part in karate and taekwondo tournaments and activities, and we branch out and we're open to other groups in the region, and so a lot of folks feel very comfortable coming in and practicing with us. And then the third thing really is that we're very active at going out to the larger events, where if it's in Houston or Austin or Dallas, they're having a big competition, we're getting involved there. And so you've got those three levels of getting your name out and really just putting it out there that, hey, we work hard and we're open, we're friendly, but we also mean business. So.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so Josh, how about you?
I plan to conquer the world. No, money making.
I think I've heard that from you before. How do you plan to do it? Using most spoons?
Last sporks, because they're multi-purpose and so they're versatile. You know, I mean, if I'm faced with an army of soup, I can spoon it up. If I'm faced with an army of salad, I can poke it. You know, just need to develop a version that's got like a serrated edge so you can use it for a knife when you come across like Mexican food or Italian food, you know. No, my career path now is looking like a military career, so very much not entrepreneurial.
So, I don't know how many of you have gone through or are considering going through the Jim Van Nieuwen course on entrepreneurship, but it's actually an intrapreneurship course, and it's basically designed to, how do you create change within an existing industry? How do you go work for somebody and be an entrepreneur within a company? Entrepreneurship doesn't have to just be starting up some new idea on your own. I mean, we hire people here at College Plus that we think are intrapreneurs, people that create change, people that love to fix things, people that take ownership of what they do, and they kind of treat their job like it's their own, and it's their own company, and they really are invested in the success of the enterprise. So that's a little plug, maybe not most applicable to the military, but definitely a plug for Jim Van Deeren's course on entrepreneurship.
Cool.
Jason, how about you?
I thought recently, based on the idea of my dad, of doing some kind of a social media marketing business for people. I've thought of especially for churches because I have a lot of experience in the church, and not very many churches have it. But so I'm in the process of taking a couple courses on Udemy about social media marketing to learn, but I'm not really sure how to what to do or how to start. I'm still trying to figure out how Facebook ads work.
Well, in this business, let me just make sure I got it right. It was glitching a little bit on my side. So were you talking about sound technician, sound systems for churches and that kind of stuff? Is that what I heard, or did I miss it?
No, it was more of marketing for churches on social media.
Got it. Okay, then I'm sorry, my hearing aid cut out.
It's okay.
Okay, so it's really a portfolio of what you can do in the marketing world that sets you apart. It's you documenting any projects that you've been involved with, and you showcasing that in a simple website that you can give examples, like for X church we did this, for Y church we did that, all the way down. And then I tell you, this business, I would think it's very relational, and it would be one where you could go from one church to the next church and basically say, hey, at the church down the street, here's what we did, here are the results. It is very results based. Marketing is a metrics game. And so the more numbers you can show that we improved conversion rates on the site by X rate, donations went up by a Y rate, those are just stupid examples, but any numbers that you could show would be really important to that. Any other thoughts from other people here? Seems like I've seen some other chats. All right, there you go. All right. So make sure you connect with Catherine then. Okay, and Aubrey. Any entrepreneurial big dreams?
Well, no, not currently. I have before.
See, Aubrey, you've got the package of the marketing. You've got that down. You could peddle anything you wanted to. People would buy ice. You'd sell ice to igloos if you wanted.
Especially since igloos don't have money.
Yeah.
It's been a long day here, guys. I'm sorry. Yes, you're exactly right. Oh, man. Sorry.
The problem with me is it's hard for me to have hobbies because usually they become business plans. So I've had lots of ideas in the past.
Yep.
But that's why I am holding off on learning how to cook, because if I know if I learn how to cook, I'm gonna want to start a restaurant. So but yeah, I don't actually have any right now, which is probably good because it means that I'm planning on staying at College Plus. So yeah.
Forever.
But the entrepreneur
The words that lost me. Yeah.
the entrepreneurship that you were talking about, that's exactly what I've tried to do with my job, or I'd like to think that I've done it with my job. So
You have nailed it.
That's probably closer to what I'm thinking about these days. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. And Catherine, remind me, you're interested in writing, but what kind of writing? I forget.
Well, ultimately, the goal was to be a self-supporting freelance writer, preferably fiction. But right now, in the interim, I've been working on starting kind of an editing and tutoring business, preferably an online editing and tutoring business. So that's what I'm trying to start up right now.
Have you had any connection to IEW and
Yes.
Pridwell stuff? Have
I'm
you
a
used their-
registered instructor.
Ah, there you go. All right, you took the words right out of my mouth. Okay, good. Well, I know they're hiring right now, and my mother-in-law is a big fan of theirs. Chardell Novotny. She is one of their big tutors, and sounds like it's really growing.
Awesome.
Plus, you could always tutor for College Plus people that are learning how to spell and write.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of that. That's actually what kind of kickstarted me into like, oh, I actually like this, because people would just ask me to, they were like, could you read my paper? Can you read like my resume? Can you read this or that? And I started reading it, and then I was like, hey, I kind of like this. I wonder if I could do it for a business. So.
Good. Okay. Now, Aiden, I haven't met you yet. Welcome to the call. What are you interested in?
I'm currently in the process of trying to launch a logo design business out of my home. So,
are you familiar with 99 Designs?
I am not.
Ah, okay. Check out 99designs.com. It's an instant way to launch a logo business.
Perfect. Thanks for the suggestion.
And then once you have done, say, 50 or 100 customers, put all the work that you've done on your website and showcase it. It's part of your portfolio.
Okay.
So use 99 Designs to get you customers, and they're not going to pay you very much money. That's the catch. You're using this just to gain exposure and to get experience. But then once you got that exposure and experience, leverage that with your own website that showcases the work you've created. And by the way, one of the tricks of marketing people is they actually offer free services to big companies like GE or Microsoft, or big companies that find some branch store or something like some local Microsoft location that's maybe not the main headquarters, and they find a way to do work for a big name brand, and then they market that work that they've done as though they're. And people like me, they're like, oh, well, the guy's worked for Microsoft. He's done Microsoft design work. Well, he must be really good, So often you find that people broke into that space by offering services for either free or at a fraction of the cost just to get their foot in the door. And then they leverage that. Okay. Well, I've already stuck my foot in my mouth at least 10 times throughout this call tonight. It's funny, our AC here in the office kicks off at about 7 o'clock, and I should have remembered and gone and turned it down. So it's like probably 85 degrees in here right now, South Texas. Josh, I'm pulling for Texas, man. I'm pulling for it. You know it.
Hey, I mean, the heat does get a little boring, yes, but
yeah,
that's what fans are.
That's true, and also AC. Yeah, you just got to make sure the thermostat does not automatically kick off.
I'll put it this way, because it's so hot down here in Texas, we've got all the more reason to roll down our windows and play our music loud going down the highway at 90 miles an hour.
That's true. We can go faster than they go on I-5 down here.
Yes. We can actually go somewhere here, whereas in California, you're going about 5 feet a mile, 5 feet an hour.
Only if you're stupid and drive at certain times.
Which speaks for about 80% of the California population.
And this is how wars start.
She just flies. She doesn't drive.
As far as I understand, Texas is still planning its succession from the Union. So we don't care what you guys do. We're going to be our own country one of these days, and we'll just duke it out with the Mexicans.
Plan it every 4 years, and then we're like, the Union really does need us. We should probably stick around a little longer just for their sake. So.
Exactly. Yep, that's true.
I'm pretty sure that Texas... Okay, so this is what I think. Texas wants to be their own country, but the rest of the country thinks that Texas is part of the country. California wants to be a part of the country, but the rest of the country thinks we're our own country.
As it should be.
No, the rest of the country just wishes you were your own country.
Or that.
That's why you see all those labels in the state of California.
We'd probably die. But I mean, I don't think we would, because we have like all this produce. Like we still have lots of farms. We kind of need water, but
yeah, that's kind of important.
We could definitely feed ourselves if we had water.
Not with the wildfires burning everything up.
Yeah. That's normal though. That happens all the time. The other day I walked outside and found ash just everywhere. And I was like, wow, fire's a lot closer than I thought it was. Yeah, pretty
Well,
much.
hey, but you have Disneyland. You can always provide for yourselves out there with Disneyland.
Just wish upon a star and it will rain all you want.
That's true.
There you go. Why didn't I think of that?
Because you need the rest of the union.
Hey, leave it to the Texans to come up with the good ideas. I'm just saying.
Well, we do have a lot of the media. We came up with those ideas. So.
All right. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to live in Texas. Let me just put it that way.
It is
Texas has no state income tax. None. It's perfect. This is brilliant.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I'm not going to argue that Californian government sucks.
That was pretty easy succession. I'm impressed.
Hey Woody, is it difficult to move to another country or a state? And because we all know Texas is its own country, but would it be difficult to move just for the sole purpose of starting a business?
Yes, very much so.
It
As-
is a,
Josh, Q Josh.
it's
Well-
a very pro-business state. Sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
Well, like moving to another country or moving to Texas. Because like I heard country, and I'm thinking like the international politics courses that I've taken, and yeah, it's very difficult because you have wars start over that kind of thing. So there was actually a war that started in 1840-ish between men of pigs. So yeah, international business can be a very picky thing.
Okay, what
Interstate
about
business-
Wait, hold
Business
on.
in
What did
Texas.
you say? I
Back-
heard in 1840 a war started between pigs.
In 1840, there was a Texas farmer who sent a shipment of pigs over to Paris,
Serious.
and they got loose or something, and the French got really mad and they declared war on Texas.
Josh, that Texan sounds really stupid.
I don't know, man. I'm not buying it.
I don't think that's
Google it.
true.
I'm gonna Google it.
I don't know. The next time you say Texans are brilliant, I'm just gonna say, yeah, y'all couldn't even keep pigs in a ship. I mean, how easy does it get? You have them all in one place, all in the holes, and you let them loose? Oh my God, really?
Well, it's the French. They eat everything.
That's
Well, you guys, this has been so much fun. I'm going to run and get back in air conditioning. So I'm going to say sayonara, but thanks so much for your time and attention. And if you have any questions or if there's anything I can do to help in any way, please email me or Skype me or call me or whatever. And just know I'm a big fan of yours. So thanks for the work you're doing.
Thanks
for
Woody.
coming.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thank you.
Eddie.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Adios.